Mike.
Good evening.
And Nicholas Boyle, say hello.
Hello.
Nick. We also got Rodger Paxton in here, too.
Hey, everybody.
Thanks for being here, everybody. I'm so glad that we can do this together. Why don't we get into the news, Nick? What do we got?
Yes, so just some quick updates from our previous episodes. The plastic bag ban. City of Portsmouth have once again postponed a vote on a plastic bag ban, thankfully.
They're just kicking the bag down the road, aren't they?
Yes. And it will not be brought up before the council again before being examined by a Portsmouth city manager.
Envy that guy.
Former three-term state rep Fred Rice from Hampton spoke in opposition to the ban, saying the city, if they proposed the ban, said that by passing this ordinance, the city would probably have a lawsuit against this, as the ban discriminates against some businesses, but not all.
That was the worstly. Damn it.
The
I was going to say the worst constructed
you stepped on
sentence, and I said worstly. So
that's all right. Redeem yourself, Mike.
Foot
You got
in
this.
mouth. No, just carry on. I lose. I lose.
Terrible.
Worstly.
Fred Rice noted, as Matt did, that businesses use the plastic bags because of economic reasons and would raise costs if they were banned. A related bill in the State House, House Bill 481, going through the state, to delegate this power to ban plastic bags by municipalities was deemed inexpedient to legislate earlier
You
this
got
year.
to translate that for anyone who is not steeped in the insane categories of the House.
Basically, they voted that it's not going to pass, and so it's basically tabled.
It's like a polite way to say no.
Yeah, we're not. It's not passed. So hopefully,
they're not allowing municipalities to ban plastic bags
On their own,
right,
without state approval.
right,
Okay.
because of
That's
the
good.
Dillon rule, which we've discussed before.
because this is one of the worstly proposals I've seen in a long time.
And in another update, Jim Boyle from the Toyota dealership in Portsmouth, he is appealing the government taking away almost 5 acres of his property due to eminent domain. And the thing that's really annoying about it is that he will offer them an easement to the sewer line, which is the whole issue in question. And they said no, and he wanted us to develop on that land and have them get easement, but they said no.
Was it? Did he want to charge him per month for that easement though, like a rent? That's what I can't remember. If it was a certain amount, or if it was just a trade.
I mean, who cares? It's his land.
No. I'm not. No, no. I'm just wondering how bad the city screwed up by not accepting that deal. But that's okay. This is something that we've talked about a lot, and I'm sure we'll continue to poke fun at the city of Portsmouth over and over as we
On
go.
the other hand, we can point out once again that he did host Trump, Mr. Eminent Domain, during the campaign.
I mean, it's not like Jim Boyle's, but he's on the right side of
He's
this.
definitely on the right side, but I certainly,
I'm not going to buy a Toyota from him.
I wish I saw him critiquing Trump's eminent domain land grabs back in the election.
We should actually ask him. I wonder if we can get to Mr. Boyle.
That'd be great. That's a good idea.
We'll get him on the show.
I could be like, oh, I'm a distant relative, maybe.
We've got a very friendly program for you to join. Yes. So next in the news, kind of a tragic event. There was a 5-alarm fire that destroyed State Street Saloon and the building that it lived in Portsmouth, which happened at 12:30 a.m. this past Monday morning. Portsmouth Fire Department got a call, I'm assuming from an alarm in the kitchen area, and then within 2 hours, basically the entire 3-story building had collapsed. But the very, very, very fortunate thing is that nobody was hurt. Everybody's alive. So that's a very welcome part of this sad story. But State Street Saloon's kind of an iconic thing. It's been there as long as I've...
It's been there a long time. And there were apartments above it.
Yeah.
People living there. And State Street Saloon was... it wasn't one of my usual haunts, but it definitely added some character to the neighborhood. It was an old Portsmouth kind of place.
I've heard some people describe it kind of like as the Cheers of Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Where people will go after work and just hang out, and they had like a dining room. They have like a 4-story dining room that's still standing somehow. But that was pretty ravaged by the fire. The fire department says it is structurally sound, but it was, if you watched any of the videos, there's tons of videos online. You can actually see where the building collapses online.
Yeah.
I mean, when I heard initially, it had burned down, And as I figured, as we've had other fires in Portsmouth, that the inside had burnt out, and then I saw the video, and it's like, wow. I mean,
This block is gone.
yeah, this is massive inferno, tower of smoke into the sky, right down the street from the fire department, ironically. And I mean, it's always sad when a business loses its property, when people lose their homes.
Yeah.
And our hearts go out to them. And I would say probably also thank goodness for the concept of insurance. Which is a market phenomenon, and back in the day, insurance companies actually operated a lot of the fire departments because that would save on insurance costs if they could actually put the fire out. And it doesn't work that way anymore. I'm sure the firefighters did their darndest to put out the fire, but at least the small saving grace is people got out alive, and people will kind of have be made whole somewhat by the insurance.
And the other thing too is what's really uplifting is to see how the community has kind of responded to this. I don't know if you guys have been following, but I've noticed on some of the Facebook pages, the City of Portsmouth Facebook page, unofficial in particular, people are donating a bunch of stuff. We've got great organizations like Seacoast Rep, collecting gift certificates and all sorts of items to help the people who've lost a lot in the fire. So good on them. A burger bar is another one, offering free food to residents of the building.
So they were doing all of this charitable work without the government forcing them
I know,
to?
go
That's
figure.
Fascinating.
Right.
And a lot. Like I think
Right,
last I looked, the GoFundMe page had raised thousands and thousands of dollars. So anyway, we're linking to that in the show notes anyway. So if you want to contribute or help, you can do so. Or also, I would say go and see a show at Seacoast Rep and say thank you.
As of right now, there's over $20,000 from 274 people donated in the past 2 days.
Yeah, that's amazing. So thank you, Portsmouth, and everybody who's helping and contributing. What's next in the news, Nick?
So a report says a shipyard brings in $756 million.
You're going to need to drop that R there, buddy.
Shipyard?
Oh, the shipyard brings in $756 million in economic activity in 2016. Nearly $500 million is in civilian payroll, and an increase in $14 million over 2015.
That's a taxpayer payroll, right?
Right. So this is all.
It's almost like
federal money.
Washington has all the money.
200 more employees were hired in 2016.
Whoa.
So the total amount of employees at the shipyard is 6,914.
Never would have thought it was that big.
New Hampshire's 2,535 civilian workers were paid $177 million in wages, with Rochester and Dover accounting for the yard's largest grain estate contingency at 413 and 365 employees respectively. Shipyard workers live in more than 58 grain estate communities, which is quite considerable. So it's almost every almost every municipality in Stratford and Rockingham at least.
Yeah.
The reason I wanted to bring this up is because, like I was saying before, this is all from federal money. So someone from Hawaii or New Mexico or Alaska, they're paying for this, which has no benefit to anyone.
Nick, keep your voice down. You're going to ruin a good thing. We're getting all this economic activity.
Right, and that's another reason I want to bring it up, because it's when you say, like, as a libertarian that you want the shipyard to close, it doesn't bring a lot of smiles to a lot of people around here.
We're all like, gulp.
Because this is either with stolen money or money printed out of thin air. These places are immoral because they're taking money by force. What would you guys say to, like, someone, like, would you want to close the shipyard down, and why?
Wow. Well, the shipyard, people, they think about what economic activity is generated, but if you look at economics through a free market lens, even GDP as a measure, they talk about activity. They mean money moving from one place to another.
Right.
What they don't really account for is value being created. and money being taken away from small business owners, from families, and given to build submarines or repair submarines. Well, I mean, unless you really believe that the U.S. military is the appropriate size, and that these people who are often struggling to get by should be paying to project, quote unquote, project power around the world, then it's economic activity. Money is moving, but it's moving away from the people who have earned it toward activities that people wouldn't choose if you let them choose how to spend their money themselves. I mean, that's what it all boils down to with tax money. These are choices that if you went to someone and said, would you opt in? They'd say no.
Right.
Would you contribute to paying for 59 Tomahawk missiles?
Yeah.
No, I would not.
Do you have $177 million to pay to these 2,500 people to do this work? And I think, if it actually split the bill up and we had a crowd fund, I think people would say, actually, maybe this isn't what I need.
Agreed. Couldn't say it better. So next I want to talk about a crazy state senator, and there's no, you can't pull punches on this. Crazy state senator Jeb Bradley, who's trying to hijack the marijuana decriminalization. Ooh. Bill.
Try again there, Matt.
Decriminalization bill.
Just say decrim, though. How about
Decrim bill.
There you go.
That so it passed the House 318 to 36. That's almost a 90%.
Right. It's the highest it's ever passed.
That's almost. I mean, that's like.
Yeah.
You might as well call it unanimous at that
Right.
point. It's
right.
yeah. And so anyway, so Jeb, of course, is in the state Senate, and bill needs to pass through there in order for it to get to the governor's desk, where he would sign it. And it sounds like Sununu would sign such a thing, but this crazy guy. Let me just talk about the bill first. So the bill decrims pot possession for up to 1 ounce from a misdemeanor to a violation subject to a fine of only $100, okay? And prohibits police from arresting someone for it. So they can't just go around, if you got, an ounce on you, they can't take you in for that simple fact, for owning this plant. And Jebby wants to remove the non-arrest provision and propose reducing the decrim quantity to 1/2 ounce, which I think is completely tone deaf to what the New Hampshire residents want. I mean, I just looked at the poll. Did you guys see the poll on the Union Leader? There's been 1,700 respondents, 1,780 last I looked to this poll. And the Union Leader polls asks, does it make sense to continue arresting people for small quantities of pot, like Senator Bradley suggests, which is kind of a slap in the face to him. And 80% of the respondents say no. I mean, this is clearly the will of New Hampshire to not put people in prison for owning a stupid plant. And Jeb is just completely a shill for the PD, I think. I mean, that's the only explanation that I got is that
PD,
Or
court
prison.
systems, prison
Yeah.
systems, absolutely. It's on and on. I mean, it's a whole industry behind illegal being illegal. Absolutely.
And the worst thing is it's this small. This keeps happening. Decrim and other pro decrim bills have been going through the House and the Senate actually for years now, probably 12 years, only to either get killed in the Senate or on the governor's desk. And what I'm left with is that we're looking at a small minority of people who are hijacking liberty for the entire state population. It's like, this guy needs to go away, right?
Yeah, he's been there for ages and ages too. Like I remember Jeb Bradley from when I was 10 years old, hearing his name.
Yeah.
And I want to stress
Like Nancy Pelosi.
Ugh.
You're still around.
Yeah. So I want to kind of clarify for people because there's a lot of words that have definitions.
Do all words have definitions? I'm
All
not
words,
sure.
all words have definitions, but like
It depends on what your definition of and
So
is.
from misdemeanor to
Or
violation,
is.
a misdemeanor you can be put in jail for it. In a violation, you cannot.
Right.
So they cannot put you in jail for a violation, which is huge.
Well, now, absolutely they can if you fail to pay the ticket price. If you fail to go to court and you fail to pay for the violation, then absolutely they can put
Right.
you in jail.
Well,
There's still a gun
yes.
involved.
Still-
in that
okay,
of
that's
transaction.
true.
Of course,
It's true.
but it's much harder to get there. Which is my
True.
point.
I'll give you that. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll tell you what, Matt. Can we go back to the base for a second? Because this is It's a very sensitive, the naval shipyard.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
May I?
The base usually means
because it's a very that is one subject. I mean, I think cannabis we're winning. I mean, it's just a matter of time.
It doesn't feel like a win though.
I know. New Hampshire is very frustrating right now, but it's just culturally people understand that this is a backward thing, and it's a matter of time until
they die off.
It's
we can
it's
get
just
this-
a normal thing that people are allowed to do. But I think the base in particular still, is a very personal issue for a lot of people, and I think it's worth saying while we say that we talk about how people would choose to use their own money, that it's not a question of saying that the people there are bad. That in fact there are pro-liberty people that we've had out of that community.
Yeah, out
a
of
lot
that
of
pool,
people
yeah.
that
Yeah.
really believe in liberty. But it just boils down to a question of choice. And do people have a right to? I think people they say, well, yeah, but you have to do what's best for people. And as soon as you start saying that, and which we'll touch on a little bit in the philosophy, that's where it gets very dangerous. What's best for people.
Well,
But
what's best for me is to make $1 million an hour.
right,
I mean,
right.
that's subjective. That's
Right,
too subjective.
it's too subjective. So it's not an indictment of the whole community and the 58
Right.
communities. It's really just saying we want people to be able to choose how they spend their money.
And one more thing while we're talking about that. I remember back in the day when Pease Air Force Base closed,
Yep.
and
That was highly controversial.
that was highly controversial. And now look at it; it's booming.
Booming. Yeah.
I mean, I worked there myself, and there's still a small fragment of government, National Guard there, but it's
been built
yeah.
up incredibly since it. How long is it? Do you know? Is it
Yeah, I think
10
it was-
years or so?
There's Red Hook Brewery. There's
I worked there.
it's a campus. There's a school.
Great Bay
there.
Community
Great Bay,
College. That's
right?
where I was born, actually. That
You
used
were
to be a
born in a school?
hospital. It used to
Okay.
be a military hospital, because that's how I came to.
in the gym.
Economics class.
That closed back in 1992, I believe.
Oh, that long. Okay. So 20
Yeah.
something years. Yeah, but it's boomed. Like there's,
Yeah.
a bunch of new buildings.
And that was a
and
major
companies.
hallmark in the change of the seacoast, right? The sort of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
culture. Yeah. Right. So Nick was literally, you were born in the history department. That's what.
I'd have to ask my mother, but
Came out spouting his monologues about
Right.
seacoast history.
All right. Hey, Mike, do you want to talk to us about the fourth
Huge
annual
news.
Freecoast Festival tickets?
All right. We've hinted at it, but we're proud to announce the 4th annual Freecoast Festival is coming up this September 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. I think is the weekend.
Early on this year. Usually it's later.
1 week earlier.
Yeah.
And
I have a commitment to be at the Comic-Con in New Hampshire, so no, I'm kidding. That's not why we changed it.
Yeah, I'm looking at you. For people who can't see me right now, I'm glaring at Roger. It's glares.
So what is the Freecoast Festival? It's an opportunity for our local Liberty community to come together and for prospective movers to see what life is really like on New Hampshire's seacoast.
And it's amazing, by the way. Life on the seacoast is amazing.
It is amazing, and
Yeah.
this is a weekend to if you want to not just show up here and say, oh, but of course, if you do show up, you'll always be welcomed. But this is
Right.
you have a weekend of planned activities. So the festivities begin Friday evening or actually Friday afternoon with some film screenings, and then a party at the Praxium in Portsmouth where we'll have some food as well. And then on Saturday morning. We'll go to the Stone Church in Newmarket, Adam Schroeder's Stone Church, and we'll have a series of talks. We'll have a live recording of the Freecoast Freecast.
Wow.
So you can see us
Stumble through it in person.
Yeah. And we'll have talks on peaceful parenting. We'll have spontaneous debates featuring yours truly, where you can challenge me on any topic, and I will debate
that was
you.
so much fun last year.
Yeah.
It was I mean, I was a little skeptical, I want to say, but it turned out so good, Mike.
Yeah, Daryl with his taxation theft. that was one of the
We
highlights.
yes, it was fun. We will have a talk on making your career accord with your values. And then we've got 2 keynotes this year. One at the Stone Church with Hannah Brame of the Becoming Who You Are podcast. And then on the cruise, we have a harbor cruise.
Oh, the cruise.
A 3-hour harbor cruise.
3-hour tour.
That's right.
Catered cruise.
Catered cruise,
Yes.
dinner on the cruise, and a second keynote from Jake DeSillis of the Voluntary Life podcast.
And let me tell you, if you don't listen to that podcast, I mean, listening to this
Both of
podcast
these, yeah.
is, well, yeah, I've never listened to hers actually, but listening to his podcast really makes such a difference in my life. Hearing somebody talk as they live their voluntary life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no BS with him. He lives that life, and
He
it's
does.
so fascinating.
The both. I'm a fan of both shows. They're both amazing. Hannah's show is more sort of introspective. Figuring out your own psychology, what you care about, and who you are. And Jake is a little bit more outward
Practical,
facing
maybe,
about your life. But the two are they're husband and wife. They're complementary in every way, and they're both going to be here. If you want to get excited, I recommend checking out those podcasts. And as a first step, and then once you become a fan, which you will, you'll want to come join us. And then after the cruise, we will be doing a pub crawl through Portsmouth, and then Sunday we have the return of Entrepreneurship Day. Where we will workshop. If you're an entrepreneur, aspiring entrepreneur, you can come and get advice from distinguished mentors, workshop your ideas with other entrepreneurs, and then we will have the Porcupine's Den competition where some contestants will present their ventures, current or proposed, and then we will award a prize
Wow.
of some sort. Probably
to be
significant.
More than a T-shirt.
Last year it was
half a Bitcoin.
500,000 bits, and so it's gonna
I'm
Go ahead.
having a really hard time trying to remember who won last year. Who was
Oh, you silly man.
So Rodger, our own Rodger Paxton, with his Pax Libertas Productions, which produces this very podcast.
All these P's at the Praxium.
I know.
in Portsmouth.
Right. Powwow. The Pax Libertas Productions, actually, when it was still an idea,
Right.
Before it really existed, he pitched it and he won the competition, and it was fair and square. It was really a good pitch. Well done, Rodger, and I'm looking forward to having another Paxton competing this year.
Well, I'm still trying to convince her, Jessica, with her Granite Gourmet Foods, her very, very, very good jam. I tell you, I have eaten so much jam lately, but I can't stop. It is so good. My weight loss has kind of slowed because I've been eating so
Because of
much
the jam. Yeah.
I haven't gained any, but it's definitely slowed down. So I'm hoping she'll.
I'm looking forward to that. So the Freecoast Festival tickets are live now, so you can go check out the show notes, or you could go to festival.freecoast.org. Festival.freecoast.org. You can look on the Freecoast on Facebook. There's tons of ways to find out. And
Isn't there incentive to buy early too?
if you buy early, we will throw in a Freecoast T-shirt.
No.
Just saw the design today. It's very nice.
It is very nice.
I want one. I think I'm getting one.
When's the deadline for that?
I better get one.
I better get one. You got to do that by June 1st to get the T-shirt.
June
So
1.
go pick up a ticket. If you have questions, you can always write us at freecast@gmail.com. We're happy to chat about the festival.
Yeah.
Awesome. Looking forward to it again. So, Mike, again, it's up to you to talk to us about the philosophy of liberty.
I just talked.
I know, but it's your turn again.
All right. I'll do it again.
This is a cool name, actually. It's almost
So
Vonnegut-y.
today, it's what?
It's Vonnegut-y.
Sweet. Thank you. Today we're going to talk about the 3 sirens of tyranny.
What is a siren, Mike?
So a siren from the Odyssey is they were mythological female creatures that could let out a song that was irresistible. So Odysseus. I'm not an expert on this. I mean, this is if I say something wrong, you correct me. But Odysseus had to be tied to the mast of his ship by his crew. He said, "Tie me down because I'm not going to be able to resist this." But he the lesson was he had the foresight to know what his own limits were.
Yep.
Anyway, this is boring. But the 3 sirens of tyranny. These are emotions that draw people away from liberty and toward tyranny in its many forms.
Very nice.
And these emotions are safety, a desire for safety, desire for comfort, and envy. So we'll talk about each of these. Safety, I think, is the obvious one. People, it's a very old story that, even going back to Ben Franklin, those who would trade essential liberty for temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. This is the story that's as old as time itself, but repeats over and over again and is playing out again in our generation, certainly with the national security state that's emerged. People have decided that the world is too scary, and with all of these threats out there, we have to
submit to central authority.
That's
basically.
right. That's right. We need to be searched.
We need
and
a
we need
TSA.
to be checked, and we
right. need to be
FDA.
Liberty is fine for times of peace, but this is a time of perpetual war.
right.
And the issue with that, of course, is that as the Founding Fathers knew, when you start to trade your liberty for safety, you end up with neither. And it's not as simple as all that. There are factors, there are reasons why otherwise thinking people would make this trade. And this can get into some game theory where at any given moment, you as an individual maybe it's not in your interest to stick your neck out, to risk. So you do want the group for safety. But if you have an entire group or an entire society where no one is willing to take the risk to put themselves out there to defend ideas, to defend each other, then you end up in a situation where everybody loses. Everyone's keeping their head down to try to be safe, but then you find that there's a draft and you and your buddies are being sent off to the jungles of Southeast Asia to fight a war that you don't care about, and there's no one left to speak for you. Certainly there have been other cases in history. I don't want to go Godwin here, but there have been other cases in history that, when no one speaks out, then there is no one left to speak for you when the time comes. So that strategy works in the short term, or it can work for you in the short term. As I'm gonna hide. I'm gonna keep my head low. I'm gonna go with the flow. I'm gonna let the notion of taking on my own responsibility to learning how to self-defense or figuring out these hard issues is too hard. So I'm gonna pass that buck. I'm gonna say, okay, the state, whoever, please take care of me, keep me safe. So that's one of the sirens. But in actuality, in the first world, in North America, we actually are not as threatened as we think we are.
You mean we're not going to get bombed by terrorists every day?
It's
what? I thought we were at like threat level
midnight.
maroon.
Yeah.
That's Michael Scott.
Yeah. I knew it after I said it. That's funny. So, I mean, we're not actually constantly under siege. In fact, that's just a kind of a ploy. It's something that even the news, the government, and the news, they all benefit from keeping everyone in this sort of breaking, danger mentality.
Wait a minute. They benefit from keeping us in a state of panic?
Anyway, but there is something else that a lot people do seek, which is comfort. And comfort is, now I originally wanted to call this laziness, but then I realized it's not really laziness, because there are a lot of people who bust their butts for the state. They work, for 40 years in sometimes difficult or dangerous jobs that are certainly not fun and not in an enriching working environment to get the pension and so on and so forth. And I'm not going to say that people don't work hard, but what I will say is that it's comfortable. The notion of having that reliable paycheck, of knowing what to expect. There's even if you're if it's not comfortable in the sense of you're not enjoying the job, it's there for you. And there's a lot of comfort. And I think, liberty scares people because it can be unpredictable.
And risky, yeah.
And, some of the better psychology...
Perceived risky, though, I would say.
Perceived risk, right. Yeah. The way that that many people in the liberty movement live their lives, if you're a conventional person, you're going to think that's just And this is normal for us. We're used to people working freelance, doing contract work, moving from job to job, optimizing their life, changing their lifestyle,
Moving to a different locale.
relocating, picking new hobbies, and just constantly being in a state of flux, finding what works for them at that moment. For most people, that's just unheard of, unimaginable, and very threatening to their sense of comfort. Some of the better psychology books and podcasts will talk about comfort being a very seductive mistress, that you actually do not want to seek a place of comfort. You're looking for a place somewhere between comfort and distress. So if you're challenging yourself too much, you're going to be in a place of distress. This is way outside of my ability to cope. I can't handle this. That's bad. But it can be bad for your growth to just say, "Oh, I'm perfectly comfortable. I'm everything's predictable. Nothing's going to change. I'm used to it, and done." What psychologists often suggest is you want to be in a state where you are challenging yourself enough, and that allows you to grow. And that's the same for other organisms too.
Mm-hmm.
So comfort is seductive, but then you end up potentially not becoming who you are, as Hannah would say.
No, you become
on
a
her show.
passive spectator of your
That's
own
right.
life, and is that what you want?
And I
from
think
yourself?
a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
And they're simply they're lulled into this. And certainly the many welfare social programs that are offered, they want to keep people in a very base sense of comfort. You got your television, you got your roof over your head, but nothing more. That's all we want from you. And the free society does naturally, it doesn't have to, but it does naturally challenge most people when you have these opportunities to say, well, I'm gonna make myself a little uncomfortable. And then finally, envy. And boy, how much damage has been done in the name of envy. People, and this is a really deeply rooted element of primate psychology. We are primates, and envy is about, it goes all the way back to our tribal roots. This actually is present in the quote-unquote lesser primates too, chimpanzees and so on. They do studies, and if you give two chimps, if they're playing the same game, and one chimp gets a kind of a flavorless cracker if they win the game, the other one gets a cookie. Well, the chimp who's getting the cracker is going to quit because it's not fair. Why I'm doing the same thing, and why does he get a cookie and I'm getting this cracker, this saltine? Now that's actually in most of the animal kingdom, that's a really kind of out there thing. I mean, you certainly, if you're hungry, having anything is better than having nothing.
Yes.
But the chimpanzee and humans in a lot of situations will exact a cost on themselves to punish the other members of the tribe or the society to equalize things. And this does have some benefits in certain situations, and we're constantly looking out for people, cheating, getting too much, not making a square deal. But they ruined that term, didn't they? But in actuality, we've really evolved. I'd say it was always the case, but we've certainly evolved today to a non-zero sum situation, meaning that when you have more, I don't have less.
Right.
And in fact, I can trade with you, and I will have more than I ever had, and you will have more.
Wait, you mean it's not like a pie and we all get only a certain amount of the slice? Really?
Exactly.
It's amazing how many people think that way
know,
too.
it
It's
is.
like there's this pool, and
That
that's
is
it.
the default.
It's
frame
crazy.
of
But
mind.
But to
Yeah.
be fair, I think all of us probably did at some point, because that's generally how it's kind of explained throughout history and in school. I mean, that's generally the concept of how it's explained.
Right.
So I can understand how people see it that way, and it's really hard to get them out of that mentality. It really is very difficult.
I mean, the two examples I can think of is, there's the notion of the lobsters in the tank. This comes up a lot of times when you're talking about people trying to get out of the projects in the inner city, that kind of thing, where if you see the lobsters in the tank and one lobster tries to climb for it, the other lobsters will pull it back down. and certainly that lobster getting out or not has nothing to do with how those other lobsters react, but they're all just sort of climbing over each other. That is a unfortunate vice of the human condition, is people would rather all suffer together equally than to have anyone have a better experience. And there's a notion that anyone who's doing better is doing it at someone else's expense.
Right.
And what they never see, and what economics really helps to teach, is that you don't see the effort that was put in, the sacrifice that was put in. If an entrepreneur has a big house and several cars and a boat and all this stuff, what you don't see is the years of training, the years of suffering, the years of eating tuna fish to get there, while the other people were just sort of coasting averagely, going out for meals and so on and so forth. I highly recommend the book How an Economy Grows and Why It Crashes as a very sort of simple intro to this, or Economics in One Lesson. But envy it drives so much. I mean, the notion that we got to ban profits, that we need to soak the rich, that we go after the 1%. I mean, what was the whole notion of the Occupy Wall Street and going after the 1%? Did they ever justify that, or was it just you could get 99% of people to say, okay,
we're together?
Yeah,
on this.
I mean,
high fives.
Yeah, let's go pick on those guys. They're rich, they've got it. And there's a lot of math that's been done, but basically, you take the richest people, these billionaires, and you divide up their fortune among everyone else, and
It's like $10.
Yeah, you're gonna get a check for $5 or $10, because it really doesn't spread that way. The way that a society as a whole advances is when there's capital investment, and the WalMarts of the world, the Fords, they were able to mass produce things for everybody and raise standards of living. So envy, comfort, and safety, these feelings, these base emotions, they pull people away from liberty. And I would say that at any time that you're considering a proposal and you're not sure that you trust the free way, that you trust the pro-liberty way, it's good to assess: am I experiencing one of these feelings? Am I having an irrational yearning for some kind of safety at someone else's expense? Am I trying to stay in my comfort zone, or am I envious of someone else, and would I rather tear them down than build myself up? And I think if we can overcome some of the dark sides of these drives, then people will not only have liberty, but actually have the things they want. Ultimately, greater comfort, greater safety, and less envy, because there's more to go around.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
I did want to say too, like, having those feelings is completely natural and normal. I feel like we were all taught that way.
Right.
It's just if you don't engage your rationality to understand that that's what's happening, that's when you get into trouble, right?
Right,
That's
self-knowledge, right.
Yeah.
Reason.
Not just a magazine.
There's a reason, though. The Pro-Liberty magazine is called Reason. Reason is the way
They
you
did
get.
that on purpose?
Is the way you get here. That's right.
Okay, thanks again, Mike. Why don't we talk about Seacoast history next? Nick, what's on tap today?
All right, Phillips Exeter Academy.
Was that kind of a big deal?
Are you sure you weren't born there?
I was not born
In the gymnasium?
I wasn't born there, no. Did you know we have one of the most prestigious high schools in the world?
Yes.
Yes.
Probably the top boarding school in the world.
Do you think it's number one? What about Phillips Andover?
Oh, don't say that.
Wait a minute.
Don't
Fights.
say that.
Fights.
Hey, we don't know this guy. He just showed up and started talking.
I was just wondering.
All right, some alumni include Daniel Webster, Franklin Pierce, Daniel Dennett, Gore Vidal, Dan Brown, who wrote the Da Vinci Code, and Mark Zuckerberg.
Who's that guy?
The academy was founded in 1781 by John Phillips.
Sousa, also no, he wasn't a band leader. different Phillips.
He was a Harvard graduate, banker, and merchant, originally from Andover, Massachusetts.
Huh.
Oh, so
A tie.
Andover's the original, huh?
His nephew founded Phillips Academy in Andover, which is very confusing.
Yeah.
3 years earlier. In March 1783, the first 56 students started the class with free tuition.
Wow.
Well,
There's a
somebody
big,
paid for it. Let's
Well, free tuition for them.
right.
It's not that way anymore, I don't think.
No,
certainly
we'll
not.
get to that. In 1795, John Phillips died and granted 2/3 of his estate to the Academy. In 1818, the, quote, Golden Branch Society was formed at the school to help students' public speaking skills, now known as the Daniel Webster Debate Society. And if people don't know about Daniel Webster, he was a very famous orator, New Hampshire representative, then later a Massachusetts senator.
And he wrote a dictionary.
No, that was Noah
Man.
Webster. Abraham Lincoln's son Todd went to the academy, along with Ulysses S. Grant's son. And the future President Lincoln visited Phillips Exeter Academy in March 1860, the same year he was elected.
I would like to point out that you're celebrating all the wrong people.
Right.
Carry on.
Yeah. Lincoln's horrible. Yeah. I'll put that out there.
Yeah, I don't think he was celebrating. I think he
Oh,
was
okay.
just
Yeah.
They're notable in our society.
Notable.
Yes.
infamous.
Yes.
Right.
In 1930, oil magnate and philanthropist Edward Harkness wrote a letter to the Academy just before making a $5.8 million donation, which was probably about $1 billion in today's money. He said, quote, "What I have in mind is a classroom where students could sit around a table with a teacher who would talk with them and instruct them by a sort of tutorial or conference method where each student would feel encouraged to speak up. This would be a real revolution in methods." And I think this method is pretty cool. Instead of an authoritarian approach where someone's sitting at the head of the class and telling you what to do and you have to regurgitate just what the teacher says and then you forget it the next week. The students and the teachers are basically all equals, and the teacher just provides the tools for the discussion, and the students leads the way.
Sounds very much like Montessori to me, based on my understanding of Montessori. It's
More
kind of what that sounds like.
Mentorship, too,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Less-
And fewer blocks.
And it's a lot of Socratic method if people are familiar with that. In 1970, the Academy trustees changed to have co-ed education, allowing women in that fall for the first time.
1970?
Yep.
Wow.
And
You know what, guys? I
Jeez.
think it's time.
I mean, yeah.
Well, they had to burn their bras first. I mean, we had to get to that point.
Yeah, jeez.
now they're actually at about half women, half men at the
In
at the
2015, the Academy trustees changed to have co-ed.
Well done.
Phillips Exeter Academy currently has a student-to-teacher ratio of 5 to 1,
Wow.
which is amazing.
5 teachers per student. That's amazing.
No.
It is such a fancy school.
He said student to teacher 5 to 1. He said it correctly.
So, students teach you.
No, I think he's got it backward. I think it's just places crawling with teachers.
All right, so here's where the cost comes in. So 2017 to 2018, 1-year tuition costs $50,880 for boarding students,
Wow.
$39,740 for day students, plus money for books, which is near $1,000 as well. There are $22 million available in financial aid grants, which are not loans and don't need to be paid back for students from poorer families. From the website, they said that people whose family earns under $75,000 can get basically tuition for free.
Whoa.
But it's very hard to get into.
Well, they
the
just called
school.
more than half of America poor, didn't they?
Right. I mean, that's more than most colleges charge.
Yeah, well,
That's
it's not
insane.
unusual for the people coming up from the northeast cities who send their kids to private school. It's not that out of whack with what they would do for a day school, but
Sure.
but yeah, it's a lot of money.
Right, and if you go down to Exeter at all, in downtown Exeter, it takes up more than 600 acres of downtown Exeter. You'll see it all over the place.
It's everywhere, yeah.
Yeah. So a brief history segment this week, but I thought people may like to know a little bit about it.
Do you happen to know how many students go there offhand? If you don't, that's okay. We'll put it in the show notes.
I could find out really quickly.
But
One
I
second.
am really curious because it is a huge.
It
like
looks
if you
like a
look
university,
at it,
yeah.
it does. Sort of kind of sprawls on both sides of some of the major roads in Exeter, and
Well, at $50,000 a pop, I'm sure they try to get as many kids in there as they can.
yeah, right.
But that is a pretty
They got to
fun-
maintain that 5 teacher to 1 student
Enrollment
ratio.
is 1,079.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So 865 of them are boarding, 214 are day.
It's pretty good size.
Wow,
For,
fascinating.
that. Great. Well, thanks, Nick. Well, why don't we talk about the social medias next? The Freecoast. Well, this changed stuff up on me. So Freecoast Festival will be here before you know it. We're always looking for sponsors to help fund the event.
Yes.
Is that the case? We actually have a few sponsorship levels, don't we? We've got level 1, which is $250. And
We got 50 of available
No
spots.
caps. No
Yeah,
caps.
no caps.
No
No
caps.
caps.
Oh, sorry.
Do we
no.
really want? I don't have to. Yeah. So that comes with 2 general admission tickets and a quarter-page logo in the booklet that goes to everybody. Level 2 is a $500 sponsorship, which gives you a 5-minute presentation. Scheduled is to be determined, of course.
5-minute presentation during the course of the festival.
Yes, and then level 3 is $2,500. There's only one of
Oh,
those.
you skipped level 2 has 2 cruise tickets.
Did I miss that? I'm sorry. 2 cruise tickets, 2 T-shirts, and a half-page logo and a partridge and a
And
pear
the difference
tree.
between the general admission tickets and the cruise tickets, just for those of you who are interested in buying a ticket, general admission gets you into everything. The additional cruise ticket gets you into the cruise on top of everything else.
I really should have let someone who knew more than me read about this, but we're already going. There's inertia. So level 3 is $2,500, and that's a 15-minute presentation on the boat. 4 cruise tickets, all inclusive, 4 T-shirts, and a full-page logo on the back page. For
Well, one person will get on the back page.
Right.
yes, one person will get on the back page.
One organization.
And lastly, any sponsor will also, of course, get a huge shout out and high five right here on the Freecast. So to become a sponsor, please contact freecast@gmail.com.
Or contact Jessica Paxton. She said to contact her since she's the head of the sponsorship.
How would people go about doing that?
They can email her at jessica@thepaxtonfamily.com or catch her on Facebook or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, right on. Anybody else want to say anything before we give our fare thee wells?
I do not.
Yeah, I mean, give us your feedback. We're always happy to. I mean, I've been hearing some murmurs. I happened to be at an event, and I heard someone saying they were comparing podcasts, and they said, "Well, the Freecast is number 1," and then you
Number one.
yeah, this is the best one. You got to listen to it.
We're
So-
number 1.
Thank you. And yeah, I mean, we have fun doing this, and we're always happy to hear from people. And yeah, I guess we'll see you next time.
We're definitely the best of all the Liberty podcasts on the seacoast of New Hampshire, I think.
yeah,
Absolutely.
of that category,
Yeah.
of which we are the only one.
One of one, yes.
We are number 1.
Well, listen, we appreciate all of you out there listening to us, and we'll catch you on the next one. So for Mike, for Nick, and for Rodger, I'm Matt signing off. Thank you so much again. Take care.